So a couple of days ago, I watched the Academy Awards. There was a couple of movies in particular that I was very invested in and really wanted to see them do well, and I was not disappointed. One of those movies being Sinners, the Ryan Coogler film. It came out in the early part of 2025, and if you haven't seen it yet, I definitely urge you to do so. It is a fantastic film. I had actually intended on talking about this film last year on this channel. Occasionally I do, or Vio and I do, reviews on films, particularly if they're of the vampire persuasion. If you know, you know. And I kind of let this one slip by. By the time I was going to sit down and go ahead and talk about its amazing soundtrack, that I felt like the time had kind of passed. But since the resurgence of it being spoken of and the excitement over the fact that it just was presented with 4 Oscars, well-deserved, I wanted to take this opportunity to really kind of break it down a little bit, talk about it, and if you haven't seen it, maybe give you some inspiration to do so. If you've let this one slip by, I definitely urge you to go back and check this film out. It is incredible. So when the trailers came out way back when, there were 2 different versions that Vio and I saw, and they were very different. They presented the film in a very different way, one of them being very, very action-based, and of course was very intriguing. Anything with vampire on it, we're all about. And I was excited for a new story, a new vampire film. And that's what, when I went to see it in the theater, that's what I was expecting. That isn't exactly what I got. I got a vampire film. But more than that, I was so blown away when we walked out of the theater. The emotions, the message in this film was absolutely not what I expected, but it was everything I needed. Such an original story that really captures the heart of just the power of music, and put vampires in there, and hey, I'm sold. You got me. 4 Academy Awards that it brought home. There was a couple others I was hoping, to see, but I am definitely excited and so over the moon for the cast, the crew, director, everyone involved. This movie deserved so much love. And Michael B. Jordan, Best Actor, incredible performance. He plays the twins. He plays 2 characters in this film. Smoke and Stack, and he's the nuance. It's incredible. The job that he did was stellar. Best cinematography, first woman to win the award for cinematography, groundbreaking, amazing. Best original screenplay, Ryan Coogler, and absolutely 100%. It's just such an amazing story. And I love seeing something new. There's been this resurgence where we keep seeing things being rebooted or, and retelling, or, and all of that. Not to give any shade, I loved Frankenstein. But it's nice to see something new, something innovative. And then, of course, best soundtrack. I am not surprised. Ludwig Göransson won the award for the best soundtrack, and not surprised, he's also had won awards for Oppenheimer and Black Panther. When I downloaded the soundtrack after I saw the film, weeks of just playing constantly. I'd get in the car, playing, go home, playing, earbuds, playing, work. It's just, I loved it so much.
It starts with the performance, and then it goes into all these different music genres, and it goes into the past, African music, and it goes into the future with a DJ, a blues, funk guitarist, electric guitarist playing, and this all takes place in the 1930s. And obviously we had an incredible cast member, Miles Caton, who has an incredible voice and is a great performer.
There's so much to talk about in the soundtrack that I don't even know if I could hit everything. It would literally take a whole nother video. It's quite long. Download it. listen to it. There's something for everyone. It's so, so good. So the setting of this film is actually 1932, the Mississippi Delta. This is during a time in the South, is referred to as Jim Crow era. And it's the story of these twin brothers, Smoke and Stack, played by Michael B. Jordan, and if you've kept up, winning Best Actor Academy Award, which is amazing. And then we have their young cousin, who is actually the opening scene. This young man, we see in the very first scene, is coming up in a car. He is run ragged. He has, these awful, open wounds across his face. He's holding the neck of a guitar, and he walks into the church, down a little tiny, white chapel, little church there, and he walks down the aisle, and the preacher there at the end, is trying to get him to let go. Now, at first, you're not sure what's going on. This is sort of setting things up, and we end up then getting a flashback where it fleshes out the story, then returning us to this scene at the end where we have more context and understanding of what's going on. Now, the film being called Sinners. So, who are the sinners? What is the sin about? What is the title of this film talking about? And I think through how everything plays out, that is the crux of it. And that is kind of the puzzle to be determined. It can be maybe interpreted in several different ways. But really, at the heart of this film, it is about music and the power of music. And speaking as a musician and feeling this pull, that it's almost like it's out of your control. You don't choose, it chooses you, or you are just a part of it to the point where if you don't fulfill that calling, if you don't put yourself into that creative space, you feel lost. You feel broken. No matter what may happen, no matter what the outcome, the pressures you have against you, it all comes down to that. That is the message for me, at least, in this film. It's painful not to follow that path. And if you deviate from it, the consequences, the feelings of being disconnected from life, to not being able to fulfill that, just takes away your joy. It's not an easy road to follow for those of you, musicians. I know a lot of us get sidetracked, but it always leads us back to that. Music has a way of connecting people, and it is a collaborative endeavor. Now, in this film, it's the blues. It's the power of, in this particular case, the young man. He's a blues player, blues guitar player. And his journey, what happens. It's more about that and the connections, between him, the others around him, and that amazing, amazing scene where we get the power of music being connection through time, space, and culture. It is probably my favorite scene in the entire film, and it got really into my soul. Here is a clip of the live performance from the Oscars of this particular song, I Lied to You.
Somebody take me. Somebody take me. Stand it all. What I've been doing. Didn't fix it all. See, I'm full of the blues. Holy water.
A part of the premise in the plot, really, like I said, it is based on the power of music. And in that particular scene, it shows that Sammy's music has this power of being able to summon the spirits of ancestors, kind of this transcendent state that they're in. And that then pulls the vampire, that we establish here, senses this. And he's particularly out of touch with his own culture and is longing to bring that back, to be able to have that camaraderie. Like I said, it's music is a collaboration. It is a connection amongst people, and he is very much missing that. So you kind of, in some ways, I felt kind of sad for him. He's just trying to bring people together. He just wants to have his tribe back. He wants to be able to connect with others. He's been lonely. But, I don't know, turning people into vampires and then having this sort of like hive mind thing going on, maybe not so much. But that's basically kind of the crux of it. And then we get this sort of, the climactic ending and how it all plays out. There's this interesting kind of addition in this plot based on the blues. So if any of you have ever heard the legend of the Crossroads, there's a film about it with Ralph Macchio and Steve Vai. The idea that the blues is the devil's music. And we kind of take that trope, this legend, and bring it into this film, in that's where we get this title, Sinners. So the blues, you find out that the young man at the beginning, his father is the preacher. He's a preacher's son. And he just loves the blues. That's what the song I Lied to You is about. And his dad's trying to get him to give up on this, give up on the blues, put that guitar aside and come back to the Lord. And the decision that he makes at the end when he walks into that church and he's been tore up and, survived this horrific night with these monsters, this demon, and the decision that he makes and what happens there at the end. Does he see things through his father's eyes? What does he do? Or is the power of music too much that he can't put it down? It is not one to be missed. As a musician, as a lover of, vampire horror, any of that, you absolutely need to take the time to watch this film. If you've seen it, I'd love to hear your comments down below. If you check it out, come back. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you guys. I'm just so excited to hear the love that people are giving this film, because it absolutely deserves it. The fact that we had 3 horror films getting Academy Awards this year is blowing my mind. Frankenstein, Weapons, Sinners. I love that these genres are getting some attention and, praise for the work that they do. I think it's absolutely incredible. What were your thoughts of the Academy Awards? Was there anything that, you were like, what the heck? What was that all about? Did some of your favorite moments or films and whatnot get some love? I would love to hear what you've got to say about that. Go see Sinners. Listen to the soundtrack at the very least. Thanks for coming and hanging out and listening to my little rambly thoughts on the film. I love you guys, and stay spooky. Catch you next time.